Hey guys, welcome back to another Ignis quick tips. Today we're going to be looking at the mixer. The mixer in any DAW is both your most powerful tool and most powerful ally in any situation. If you guys don't know how to use your mixer properly, then you're definitely going to start to struggle with music production, whether it's from sound separation, stereoization techniques, or even just applying filters. So check out some of the tips in this one, guys. Hopefully it helps you out. Alright, so what is bussing? Bussing is the technique where we take several channels and we pass them through the same place at once. So if we wanted to rename one of these channels, let's say we right click on any of them, we're going to say rename and we're just going to call it CH1. And then we're going to call the next one CH2. CH2. So you can imagine whatever these are. These could be drum kits, these could be vocals, these could be absolutely anything. If you wanted to route these to a new channel, what you would do is you'd come down to the bottom here. You'd make sure the channel that you want to route from, which is this number 2 here, all the way over to number 3 is selected. Then you're going to right click on the little white arrow, and now we've got some options. We can either route to this track, which means that we're going to keep it on the master, and then we're going to route to this track additionally. You could go to the next one, which is route to this track only, which basically means it's not going to route to the master anymore. It's only going to route to the track we select. And then similarly with sidechain, so we can sidechain to this track and then still maintain our connection to the master, or we can sidechain to this track individually. So okay, what does exactly sidechain mean and what does route to mean? Route to means it's going to route the entire sound to that track, and it's going to be auditable through your master as long as that track is also routed to the master or a bus retrospectively. If you sidechain to a track, you're not actually listening to the actual sound that's being played. What it's going to do is it's going to provide a signal for the other sound to be either suppressed or worked on based on the signal that you're providing. So what does that mean exactly? It basically means that we're going to take the shape of the wave and we're going to apply it to the other sound. So what can you do with that? Well, we can sidechain the sounds out, so we can actually physically cut out the entire volume. Maybe we could apply a high shelf, maybe we're going to multiband high pass it or multiband low pass it, or just multiband pass it, compress it. There's so many different options, but there's a great way to clean out sounds away from each other and get sounds to be able to play perfectly next to each other without interrupting each other. Not quite clear enough yet? Don't worry, we're going to run through a few examples. Just give me a few minutes to set up and then we'll show you how this all works. Okay guys, so as a quick example here, I have got sound A, sound B and C, which is going to be my output. If we were to take sound A, which sounds like this, then we were going to pass it through to B. So this time we're going to make sure that it's on its own. So we don't want it to go to the master, we want it to go just to this track. We're going to say route to this track only. And now you can see it's being added to track C, and if we hit play, you can see it's being played here and here. So if I mute it at C, oh, let's mute B as well. So if I mute it at C, you can see the fact that it's still playing, but the master isn't receiving it. So if I was to route it to both tracks at the same time, so if I was to return this back to the way it was, so by right clicking here, route to this track only, you can see regardless, it still plays, and now C is not receiving any signal whatsoever. So if I wanted it to go to both at the same time, I can right click here and I can say route to this track, and now I can pass it to both tracks at the same time, but I also increase the volume because it's going to both. So to get rid of it again, I right click here, right click here, route to this track only, and I'm back to a single line signal. Sidechaining works a little bit different. So when we sidechain something to it, we're not actually after the output of the sound itself, but actually just the signal of which it generates. So if I was to right click here and say sidechain to this track and hit play again, you're going to see there's no signal in C. Well, what kind of use is that, you're thinking? Well, if you want to, say, duct one sound with another sound, i.e. I wanted the drums to be on top of B, but B is never played when the drums play, that's called a sidechain technique. So with our buses, we are able to set that up. What we need to do is we need to apply either a limiter or a sidechain technique, which we'll include in another video, to C, and now we can use A plus B in order to give us signal C. So A is going to be the main signal of what we want to physically play. It's also going to be the sidechain, which is going to create the actual cut-in sound. B is our raw sound from that we want to sidechain into. Sorry. So over here, we're going to right click on here and we're going to say route to this track only. On here, we apply our limiter or our sidechain services. So at the moment, let's go ahead and use a real simple one. Let me get this set up. I'll be right back. So once we've got our buses set up, it becomes a little bit easier to manage different things. Now imagine we have several different melodies or whatnot running through this. This A and this B can be as many as we want. This can be 50 channels, 10 channels, 100 channels, or even just one. So putting these all together allows us to group these volumes together. So imagine again, if it's a vocal or a drum kit, you can control the entire drum kit just by one volume dial. To add to that power, you can also add to your organization by right clicking on them and saying dock to either left or right. And now you've got it instantly accessible. Your masters are always going to be onto the left or onto the right, depending on which side that you choose. You can route to them easily. So if you're scrolling through all these extra channels that you've got and you've got a master all the way to the left and you're like, oh, how do I click on this and then route to this one as well? This could be a great tool in order to help you manage at least your top end buses. Don't worry guys, if you put one there by mistake, what you can do is you can right click and then say middle. So we're going to right click on here, we're going to go dock to middle, and that's going to return it back into the deck like the rest of them. So that'll put it basically in chronological order as it was before. As you can see, 14, it's right in place here. So that's been a quick introduction into buses, guys. If you have got any questions, don't forget, leave them down below. Any suggestions for videos, we'll definitely try and cover them for you. Any techniques that you want to be shown, by all means, let us know. In the meantime, go over and visit ignis.com. Thanks very much for joining us, guys. Bye-bye.